Again, welcome everybody who just joined the webinar. Yeah, thanks for joining today in this webinar about Identity Fabric for SAP. Also, today is an SAP day for me, so I just visited my old team, and also there's currently an SAP security conference here regarding identity access management in St. Leon Road. So I took the time and now in a meeting room. So thanks to my old team for lending me this old meeting room to do the webinar. And today we're also going to talk about a more in-depth integration into SAP, and also very interesting what I heard on the security conference today. I might jump on a few topics there, Retro,
Mhm.
for things that are interesting for the people. So yeah, let's get to ourselves. Me myself, I'm David Johnson. I'm a lead consultant at IC Consult. And my guest speaker today is from One Identity, Retro. Um, Retro, if you want to introduce yourself shortly.
Sure. My name is Reto Bachmann. I'm in the pre-sales organization from One Identity, and I'm doing there almost all the identity management, access management stuff regarding also to SAP. Before I joined the company 20 years ago, I was myself in over 12 years working in several SAP projects implementing SAP. So I know a little bit of SAP as well. So
Uh, That's perfect. Yeah, and maybe a short story back to me. So since you heard all team, in my past days, I also did a lot of SAP access management, and also partially with SAP. And have a few years of experience with SAP Identity Management, and also had several SAP projects, not only SAP IDM, so we're gonna get to that, but also topics with the good old GSC or access control. And yeah, that's gonna be my part um, for today. Just a few quick words to our company. Bye bye. Um, to my company. So we're from IC. I'm from IC Consult. We're one of the world's leading consultancies in identity access management. We're solely focusing on identity access management, and yeah, we have around 900 employees now worldwide. So we can also offer managed service, follow the sun, and have a lot of identity access management partners which we work with, including One Identity, and that's why we are having retro today. So let's jump into the topic here. SAP Identity Management. Um, yeah, it's a good old nice tool. So I had a lot of talks today with people currently still using SAP Identity Management, and of course need to migrate. For the people who have been involved with a product, you get a certain attachment. Maybe it's a German thing, so the Germans also love their cars and give them names. Maybe I'm not German enough, although the name might suggest I'm not from Germany, but I am 100% German. But I never gave my car any names. But the Germans also have affinities to software, and of course it's hard to switch from software which you put in so much work over the last few years to a new solution. And we're also here to take a bit of this, take a bit of pain and take a bit of predicament you're in right now with just replacing SAP IDM with yeah a solution. But yeah, going through the history here. I just found this really brilliant old marketing slide from SAP, which was actually used quite extensively in my days. It's uh, it matches my PowerPoint skills, and it's a bit outdated. But as you can see, SAP is not only, or SAP IDM is not only a standalone product, but it was used in conjunctions with other business products, and also it was asked to maybe use those products together. So we have the business suite integration. So in this case now, it would be the modern day equivalent of maybe SAP CI cloud integration or PI. Yeah, then we have the good old SAP Access Control, the GSC, which is actually one of the main products which handles the things which we understand under identity access management today. So role request, risk control, everything was rather done in SAP Access Control and then synced to IDM, but also other products were of course connected to this. And here we see, okay, different applications, but the majority of enterprises mainly used it to connect their SAP system to it and solely used it for SAP. So there was like a bit of a tunnel vision here. So only SAP products in mind, only SAP products to be connected to SAP IDM. Although some other companies used it for the whole landscape, but also many companies have it as a standalone solution for the SAP landscape and maybe have a different identity access management for the rest, or have nothing there yet and can use this opportunity to maybe do it on a more holistic view. Yeah. And coming to that, I just saw similar slides today. So this is at least still how it would be envisioned, partially best practice in the latest iteration of SAP IDM. So it's not only the SAP IDM anymore, but it's also the SAP Cloud Identity suite, which is covering, for example, products like SAP Identity Provisioning, which is a transformation layer. So if you wanted to speak with cloud products of SAP now, so and IDM itself is not really cloud capable. They created the identity provisioning service to talk to cloud products. So it's a SCIM interface and it talks then to success factors and field class, for example, for the externals, and also is used to then talk with the HANA public cloud or with SAP Analytics Cloud, for example, or even now there's a new interface out for SAP Ariba, which is actually covering all the modules. So if anyone connects Ariba right now, I'll suggest you look into that. Those could be connected with this provisioning service, and that enhance a bit the capabilities of SAP IDM. SAP IDM itself also had then, of course, an SAP connector to connect to the on-prem systems, and that's where you steered it. But the interesting part of this slide again is it's not only SAP IDM, it's also SAP GSC normally being used in conjunction. So where the access request went in, where you have your segregation of duties, where you do your attestations, and the answer, at least people are asking me, is it the right way to go with Entra? Yeah. Is it the right way to go with product XYZ? It always depends. It depends on what your needs are and how you want to set up your new identity landscape. But for sure, when we see this right now, the answer couldn't be Entra, at least not if you want to have want to steer the whole landscape, because that's simply not possible at the moment, especially when it comes to the good old on-premise systems, including private cloud systems. Yeah. And this would be a bit of a history of IDM. So summary here would be not only think about how to replace IDM itself, but also think a bit more broader on the other areas you have, and also maybe not keep the SAP landscape so siloed anymore, but open the landscape and now take the opportunity to get a 360-degree view on a user and the access. But Reto will come to that. And with that, we're actually already going into one identity. So Reto, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So I need you again for clicking.
Yeah, I don't see your face, so that's a bit more a bit harder today. But yeah, just let me know.
Okay, so who is One Identity? One Identity is a branch inside of Quest Software. Quest Software maybe is more well known to you as a company. We are the security part of Quest Software, and one of our main solution or portfolio is this so-called unified identity platform. We are doing this since several years, so even a lot of others are copying now this sentence unified. This is something we are doing since several years to have this unified identity platform. And the idea behind is that we have this not just the IDM part, so also the governance part in one solution to completely cover everything. As well, we have an access management solution. So for customers not having already something like Entra, for example, we have also our own access management solution with additional functionalities, which is completely integrated. As well, we have a privileged access management, a PAM, full PAM solution, which also integrates into the, let's say, GRC part of what SAP is doing. We have their
Mm.
possibilities. And the fourth part is the Active Directory management, which I think is the longest beside the IDM. Over 20 years, we have solution or a product there also to cover the Active Directory slash Entra security part, which is not a part of any of an identity management vendor. So this is a very specific security module. And so we can cover all these four areas in the end. And I think this is a very unique approach One Identity can provide. And again, it's an integrated, unified platform, so you don't need to have synchronizations, configurations, whatever to do, that this all is working in the end. That's the idea, that you get everything from one hand. In the SAP side of the world, so and also this slide is, even it looks nice, it's a very, I wouldn't say old slide, but I'm using this since several years. We are not just covering the IDM or the identity management part. So we have also, since again over 20 years, we have a single sign-on solution for the ABAP system, where we can integrate the old world in the end. We also cover the identity management part, the IGA part, and the GRC. So we have really a solution for SAP, but the thing is, what you see here, it's not just for SAP, this is also for everything else. It's specific for SAP, we have certifications for it. I think that this makes it, in the end, interesting for customers, that the products are also certified and used since a very, very long time by a lot of also big customers worldwide.
Thanks for showing this. And as you see, it's covering all the parts here. So it's not just covering one part, it's overarching here. That's
coming to the authentication part. So this is the first, also I would say, in IDM projects, because this is also a topic you should cover in an identity management project, how to do the authentication part or how to integrate it. And the solution we have here is that we have again two solutions. The first one is I would say the modern part with our access management solution with OneLogin. Of course, you can do this with Entra ID if you have it already. But for customers not having this, we provide this for all the SAML based or the modern client access. And again, this is not just for SAP, it's also for all the other systems like Salesforce, for example. And it covers also the customer identity management functionality. In the end, is covered by this solution as well. Of course, it's integrated into Identity Manager, so we have all the links there. And the second option is our the sub GUI integration by using SNC. Funny wise, we still found customers that are not using SNC. They are still connecting in the old way, and which I think all of you know that it's not secure. You can grab the password, it's clear text. So it's a big security concern in the end. And so by side providing the integration also for, I think this is the key, the Linux-based or Unix-based SAP systems, we can integrate it, but it's also for the sub GUI side. The same technology allows, for example, to integrate Mac OS X systems or Linux systems for developers or whatever usage. They can also then use the sub GUI using the Kerberos technology. And with
Mm.
this integration in AD, you have the first step of, in the end, migrating directories, for example. So you have Active Directory where also this information in the end is stored because you're using the AD account. And this can be managed then from an identity management system like
Mm.
us. We can manage Active Directory. So you can get rid of additional directories or whatever and have the first step to integrate the SAP part as well, the Linux, Mac stuff into Active Directory. And this is also in very, or in a lot of projects we have for identity management. This is also part of it where we try to convince the customer also to kind of clean up, to get rid of all these several LDAPs, whatever, because even it's from Microsoft, but it's an LDAP. So you can use it for everything else as well. And this in the end helps you also to clean up the environment. If you think about migrations, then I think also this should be definitely a topic you should cover and think about it if you have kind of such environments with additional directories, LDAP, whatever.
Yeah. And when there's no password and the people don't even know the password because there is none in the SAP system, then that's one low-hanging fruit to already cover and make it more secure. Because as you mentioned, Retro, yes, I actually don't get it. Yeah, so
Mm.
it sounds complicated at the beginning, but once you have SNC running, it's a lifesaver, and you don't want to really have the passwords in the SAP system. Especially you come into that part later. Especially
Mm.
now it's all interconnected, and you rather want to make sure that this person is really the person
Yeah.
that can log in. Because if it's password and username, as long as you have access to the internal company network, because I guess that's at least on-premise shut off, then
Hmm.
you could do some malicious things, and you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are. That's the one.
And also an add-on on in the end, especially on the one login part, is also that you can check the devices. Either an external or internal is connecting to the environment, so you can check the device, you can check which iOS it's there, you can use passwordless authentication with MFA, for example. So we have a lot of possibilities to strong the authentication. The same for this called adaptive authentication. So you have the possibility of risk-based policies, and in conjunction with Identity Manager, because this is mostly not there by also other vendors having an authentication product. They don't get the data from an identity management system. So there is, or you have to build it by your own, or you have to configure or develop something. And with us, you have the integration with the identity management system as well. So you can see, for example, from the identity management system, what is the official working place of this user, in which department he's working, if he has also already some risks behind because he's working in an HR department or whatever. And based on this information, you can pass over this to the authentication module, and then based on this information, you can either step up the authentication, saying now he needs multi-factor, or it's not enough to just use username and password, or for example, he is not allowed to access because he is coming from a different country where it's defined in the IM system. So based on this information, you can then in the end have policies to define who can access which application, which SAP system, whatever. So this is also then a huge benefit in the end to secure the environment. Then the sub administration, which is I think one of the main concerns in the end if you have a sub identity management system. This is the first where our identity management product comes in place, One Identity Manager. One Identity Manager provides a lot of out-of-the-box certified connectors with pre-existing sync projects. What is meant by this? It's not just a connector like skim and then good luck, configure everything, build the rule sets, build the workflows. So what you see here means that we provide the full sync project. This has the mapping included for all the objects, also the workflows. Everything is included in this project for the specific systems modules. Like you can see, we have it for R3 S4, which is synchronizing the users, the roles, profiles, group, license, whatever, and also for the HCM, for the BI. So we provide already all the object classes with all the attributes. You have the possibility to extend it. So if you have set tables or your customization, it's also very easy to do the customizations, even for the cloud products, like for the SAP Concur clouds for customers, SAP SuccessFactors. You can in the graphical interface, you can add custom attributes without creating an XML file or doing coding. So you can say, I have an additional object I want to have from SAP SuccessFactors, and this you can do without any dev skills in the end. And one thing I forgot is the SAP GRC part, I think, which is an important part. We also have a SAP GRC integration, which means you can do the same like you can do with SAP GRC. You can do this with our product in the end. But again, this is not just for SAP specific. In the end, you can do this all for all the other systems like Entra, like AD, like any other cloud application. And we provide also the skim connector interface, which is there already. So you can connect to SAP directly with the skim connector as well. So that's also available in the standard system.
Retro, you can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's just some pop-up new Mac OS. Yeah. There we go.
So the full SAP management, what you can see here is now it's a view on the identity manager in the end. It's our still we have a Fed client. We are in the process of moving everything to Angular, to web portal, but this takes some time as Angular is or has not provided in the past all the functionalities we want to have or provide, because the idea is really, as you can see here, we want to provide a graphical interface for the existing as well for the new customers, and not that they have to configure strange things in a web UI. So this is the reason why we are doing this slowly, but in the way that it looks same in the Angular portal in the end, as if we had this in the old Fed client. And the product is on the market since over 20 years. So there is a lot of functionality specifically for SAP in the product, which I think our existing customers will not be happy if we make this in a different way. And what you see here is that we can directly read from the SAP system, so that it gets automatically all the clients, all the rules, the profiles, and we can manage CUA as well, single systems or in combination. So this is there in the product since ever, that we can have, or we have the possibility to use a CUA in existing, or as well to connect directly to the clients or to the system separately. And we also build, because a lot of customers, they started in the last couple of years to go away from the CUA, because years ago there was a rumor that CUA is not longer developed. And we have customers, they started the process of getting rid of the CUA and doing everything in Identity Manager directly, because this is possible, and which is in the end, I think, a better way of doing it. And we have an option to kind of split off the CUA system in the Identity Manager system, not in SAP technically. We do this then in our system, so that you can have a migration path also from going away from the CUA. And another thing is we also can do license management for SAP license. So we can attach the SAP license to the different roles, for example, that if a user is moving out from a department to some other departments or he's leaving, that also the license get removed. And this is also something we can not only do for SAP, we can do this also for Entra, for example, to help customers to not having license used, which in the end are not used anymore. So that you get your license metering end of the year, that SAP is not saying you're using license, which in the end are not used. So this is also something we can automate and help you to provide all this information in this SAP management administration area. The authorization part, so the let's say the AGA part in the end of Identity Manager is also another key component. So we provide all the required modules or products in the end inside of the solution. So it has a policy engine, it has a workflow engine, it has a risk engine, which is all built in the product. The identity store is part, it's the key component in the end. Also the provisioning engine, this is all in one product. So there are no different databases or whatever you have to install. It's really one product in the end, providing all these functionalities. We can read from authoritative sources, also from multiple authoritative sources, and writing back to the target applications like SAP. The idea of the product in the end is that it's business user focused. So the idea is that let's say in a good world, you have everything configured in an automated way so that the business use or the business in the end decides what additional roles, profiles they want to have. So they can shop for all the additional things in the end. And the main point on this is not for SAP only. It's for every other system and application as well to bring this in one product in the end. That's the idea, to provide all the same functionalities independent if it's an SAP system or Microsoft application system, whatever. It's really the same product for everything in the end. On this example shows in the end how we can use, or what's the, let's say, the benefit or the ideal world that we have an SAP HCM. This could be the old or the current SAP HCM system, or it could be SAP SuccessFactors, for examples. In this one, it's a SAP HCM, but I can show you the same for SAP SuccessFactors or Workday or any other. Again, we can read this information from multiple sources. I have a customer, I have 18 different HR applications writing into the same identity management solution. And you can use, for example, in what you see here is we can use also the org management data as a master, which builds then all the org structure with all the hierarchy, including who is the manager of an organization directly in our system. And it's controlled by SAP in the end in this example. So I'm not able to change the relation in Identity Manager. I can even not delete an organization. There is a trigger in it which says it's an SAP or it's coming from SAP, so you're not allowed. Of course, you could turn this off, but it normally makes sense to do this or keep it in the system, because if everything is maintained properly in SAP, that's the other thing you have to be aware. But we can read this information in the system and provide in the end all this data directly to the identity management solution.
It's very good. So no need to go back and reinvent the wheel, but rather use your existing data right from scratch.
Yep.
Of course, we can't guarantee the data quality. That's still then
that's yeah.
Still
that's
on
the other
customer
thing.
side.
Yes, exactly.
And whoever is doing then the implementation, you have to take care of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Another thing is, besides just reading the data, we have also the possibility to write information back, which also is very often a very, let's say, good key topic, because like email addresses, which is used in SAP for all the document stuff, for example, we can write back this also directly because we support the info type 105 in the sub system as well for sub success factors. We can also write back the personal, the number, phone number, the email address. We can also write this back because normally this is coming from, not from SAP, of course. It's coming from an email system. So we also provide in the end a benefit for the HR department that we can check the right information and write back the right information into the SAP system. This is also in the end a benefit for from our side to HR. So it's not just that they have to provide the data, we can also help them to provide data back to their system.
And that really helps for some processes. So in the past few companies where the HR needed the email address for the onboarding process, but for example, one company just basically did guesswork. So they had the first last name, and HR was filling in the email address which they thought might be at the end. This tripled down, then of course the person was already, maybe there was already a David Johnson in an international company. So it was not David Johnson, it was David Johnson 01, for example. So, and then we had the mismatch, and HR had to go back and change this again and so forth. And you could not guarantee that an email was only taken once. Yeah, so there's some regulations also out there that you should not give out the same email address twice in the company, because emails that one David Johnson might work in controlling and the other one might work in the defense department, and then getting emails from both sides with sensitive informations which are not meant for the new David Johnson would be a big no-no in companies. And that's why such systems are also important, supporting the onboarding process, but also improving in compliance and make sure that everything is fine there.
Yep.
Now we are at our 360-degree view. Rachel.
Exactly. So that's in the end the key thing of our identity management solution, that we can provide this 360-degree view of an identity. So the identity is the big box in the middle, the blue one, and you can see which information in the end we can get directly from SAP systems, like from SAP HCM, we can get all the data for the identity in the end. We have also the possibility of having more than one identity, like sub-identities. That's a standard functionality, which is a very common scenario. For example, if you have a holding structure with sub-companies, and a very common use cases here in the German-speaking area is the contract data. So we can also read the contract data from SAP and build relations based on this information, that the user has certain role access only if he is working more than 40% for the holding or more than 60% of a dedicated company, for example. Otherwise, he gets no access to it. So even such combinations are possible. We can read all the data types from SAP, like the last working day or the official entry date. We can create accounts upfront. We can also have the exit date or the last working day from the contract information. This is all standard in the end, and it's coming from our SAP customers. So the product itself has a lot of similarity to SAP because the product is developed in Germany, or was developed, is still developed in Germany, is a German product in the end. That's why you see a lot of similarity in the product as well. We can read from the org management, the manager, the relations like the department, locations, cost center. These are all standard objects within the product. We can then also, of course, read the sub account. So as you can see here, the purple one, that's the sub account. If the user has more than one SAP account in a system or in systems, you will see then here more than one of these purple boxes. The other one is the orange one is the Active Directory account, green is Exchange. So all these relations the system is building automatically. It's not something you have to do. This is done by re-importing the data from the SAP HCM, building the identity, and then start connecting to the target systems. And if there is already such an account, this relation is built automatically. And of course, the red box below, that's the SAP SOD check. So you can see this person violates already against several of the SAP rule sets, which in this example is an import we did for a customer having SAP in place and replaced it with our solution. Because we have the possibility, you can export the rule sets from your existing SAP and we can import this into Identity Manager, and then we can build this directly in Identity Manager, but in combination with other things in the end. But I'm coming to this point after.
Yeah, and no more SQL queries and trying to stitch together an account and find out which rules applied where. So
Yes.
this is all viewable in one go. And yeah, now we're going to the next one.
So if you Thank you. If you go on the department level, this is was the green box on top. So this shows in the end the whole organization, in this case the accounts payable. And as you can see here, this is kind of how you can build the birthrights of accounts. So as soon as someone is in the system, the identity, that's the red box below showing all the identities. If there is a new identity coming to the system from the HR data, and it says that this identity is working accounts payable, he will automatically receive 3 account types like an AD account, Exchange, and SAP account on the 800 client. And he gets also additional rules and groups as well an Active Directory group. So this is, you can very easily build in the end the birthrights based on organizations like department, location, cost center, also business roles. So we can very easily use then this organizational data also to build birthrights, relations to user. That's a very, very simple and easy way in the end how you can enrich the identity with entitlements and permissions. If you go then further down from the identity to the SAP account, so the SAP account is now the blue box in the middle. As you can see here, the client, and you see everything of this SAP or the relation of this SAP account. So which groups, applications, parameters, roles, profiles, also the BI account. So you see all the relations of this account in SAP in the end. So this is also a very nice functionality, even for auditors, for example, because they get in the end all these informations by clicking on the different boxes. And of course, you can run reports on this in the end. So this really gets you the 360-degree view of everything the user has very easily, very handy, creating all the reports in the end, even auditors, because we have an auditor role like in SAP, a similar one in our solution, which they in the end get all this information in a nice PDF report.
Mm-hmm. And really makes it nice to go down the roads, and you even see the difference here. So this is really you can really dive deep into it, or just look at it from a more bird's perspective, yeah. But you can really drill down into the roles and then further down with this interface. So really like that. Yeah. There we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the also other important thing is the GRC part. So as I said, we can also do real sub GRC, same like SAP is doing. So you can create or import the data, for example, from an existing GRC system, or you can build it by your own. And it's called function, or it's function instance in the end, where you can also see to which of these SODs a user in the end violates against. And then you can also drill down and you can see down to the transaction authorization object level. You can see the why it's violating. And one thing is, this example shows you the SAP rule set. But what you can do is you can add other to this as well. You can say this person is working in HR department. He has access to all the salary information, for example. And I think everyone working with SAP knows how quickly you have exported data into an Excel sheet, for example. And if this user has access to the common file share in the company and has the possibility to copy there this file, then you violate against all these rules. So you have the possibility to say if this person is working in HR, having access to a certain SAP role with a dedicated or sensitive access in SAP, this user should not have access to write data into any kind of file share, SharePoint, whatever, because even it's not a wanted action, it's something he just was not aware of. For example, you can prevent doing this in the end, or the user can't do it because he has no access. And this combination you can build together in this GRC, which you can do very easily. So any system by side SAP is maintained in Identity Manager has the possibility to combine in such SOD checks.
Good.
And another functionality, which is a newer functionality, is so-called behavior-driven governance. What it's meant by is that we can, for example, in the access management side or for any system like SAP, we can, for example, check if the user has logged on with his account during a certain period. If not, we can run automatically an attestation and either ask the manager or the user itself or a security person if this account should be deactivated or removed. And in combination with this information, we can read the transaction usage data from ST03 to see if the user has used a transaction which is in a role he is assigned to him. And if he has not used this transaction during the last 30 or 60 days or half a year, for example, we can start again at the station and ask a person in the company what in the end should be done by this at the station, remove the entitlement, or someone has to approve it, or in the end, really to automate all this information to get rid of all these accesses which are not used in the end by users, to also clean up the environment and to get rid of any security risks in your environment.
This was always a big point in companies, or is still a big point in companies. So this good old the guy next to you has following permissions, just order all the permissions that the person has next to you. That will work for getting access to the department. And depending on how far along the company already is, you just copy this permission and you request it. The manager will not ask if you really need it because the manager might not know. And then people accumulate rights which they might not need. If you copy from an employee who was 30 years in the company, they accumulated a lot of garbage, and this really helps to start your first steps into a cleanup project there, because if your data is already tainted by a lot of unused access, when you can analyze it, if this access is even used for certain departments, you automatically get into a cleaner state. And from there, you can then try to define business roles and other things. I really like that feature. Yeah. Now,
So, sub-GRC.
yeah.
The other important topic. So there are different options how we can either integrate. So if you have already a sub-GRC because you have invested a lot normally in a sub-GRC environment using the sub-GRC module, and it is, or there is a possibility to keep sub-GRC as the leading system in the end for the access control. So there are different ways to do this. One way is that the user still is requesting the role in Identity Manager. So all the checks in the end, or let's say the request is then going to the sub-GRC access control. Even the approval can be done there, and then the end result gets in the end passed over back to Identity Manager. So this is one of the option in the end, that you can keep the sub-GRC and not replacing it right now, or if there are no plans anyway to do it, we have the possibility that systems live together. There are customers already doing this, that Identity Manager in the end is just a system to request a role and to see the end approval step in the end in the system. But all the checks, all the approvals, rejection is done in the end still in SAP GRC access control. So there are different options how you can integrate in the end an existing SAP GRC, and not to remove it, because if you do the identity management project first, I think you have to do a lot of things with this project, and then you can go after and or think about how to either replace SAP GRC or what you want to do with SAP GRC in the future. And the second option again is you can really migrate the information into Identity Manager. As I said, you can export the rule sets from SAP GRC and import it into Identity Manager. It's in the end a one-time job, so you do it once, and then when you have done all the let's say also the cleanup, for example, everything will be done in Identity Manager then, so you have the full audit trail. You can combine the existing rule sets with other, as I said, with other systems applications like Entra or Active Directory. So this is then the benefit. And as this is a one-time task in the end, because we are not providing any rule sets, we have also the option working with another company. I think it's on the next slide. So we have
Should I go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay. There you are.
So we have an integrate, or eBay Schreiber has an integration in our product, because many of the companies I think know eBay Schreiber, or there are a lot of companies using already their product for the rule sets. And there is an integration into Identity Manager, which allows to build all the rule set or maintain the rule sets in the eBay Schreiber tool. And then you can directly upload it into Identity Manager, and to have then all the rule sets in Identity Manager, where you can then run all the SOD checks against the existing environment, for example. And this is something which I think is a unique integration on the market between eBay Schreiber and One Identity, helping on this side, on the GRC side, for all the rule sets.
I will ask Lisa if she wants to give her regards. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's here today as well.
Okay, so then say hello to her.
I will do.
Now,
interesting topic.
Another topic, the firefighter. So this is also something we are already doing with customers, getting rid of the firefighter or the SAP-like firefighter stuff. Also, several reasons. One reason is they want to have a common firefighter concept for all the systems, not just for SAP systems, in one solution in the end, and not doing this in different ways in different applications. And we have the possibility to do for example, password management, not just for legacy systems. We can do this also for SAP, like the privileged accounts, like the admin accounts in SAP. We can forgot the English word, revert the password every 30, 60 days. So the maintenance of the passwords is done then
through our rotation, you mean, right?
Password, thank you, password rotation. And also the request for passwords is then in the same system, and it has an integration into our identity management system. So we can do this from the same solution, which in the end also is a benefit for, again, the audit, because an auditor only needs to go to one solution to see who had when access with which account to the system, how long, for example. And we have also the possibility to have a session recording for sensitive operations in SAP systems that we are launching the sub GUI with the user and the account. And this, for example, is done in some of our customer scenarios for externals. If they need to do something in the SAP system, they will never get access directly to the SAP system. They will never see the account or the password. So the system is logging on the person directly, and everything he's doing is not just logged if you have turned it on the SAP side, the logging. It's also in the end logged on our side, so we can see really what the user did on the SAP system, and has also then the evidence to for auditors, for example, to show what this user did on the SAP system really.
As you said, it's not only for SAP systems. So if you have other applications or the good old shared account scenario,
Yeah.
for example, uh, well, only one admin user or whatsoever, then you always know with the solution which person had access when, for what reason. Yeah,
Yes.
and you don't get into this predicament that you cannot prove to the auditor who maybe had this access. Also, when an incident happens or other things, you always know who had access when and what was done. And this is something that makes, at least when we're talking about good old things like SAP all, that was like a word that was mentioned a lot today. After all, it's a security conference, that you prevent such shenanigans with this process.
So you can really build this zero trust or just-in-time privileges through our system as well. And as you can
Mm.
see here, for anything in the end, so it's not just the SAP account, it's also the Unix account, the Windows accounts, AD accounts. And in the end, there are, and it's another feature by side. For example, for let's say the Unix admin needs going to the SAP system, so he gets the root account when he needs the account to do work on the OS level. And the thing is, we are disabling the account. It's not just that we rotate the password, we are also disabling the account in the system in the end, so that even someone has the password, it's no point because he can't log on because the account is disabled as well. And we can also remove it from the groups, for example. This is also another thing, that we assign the groups only then when the user is requested, and otherwise the user is disabled through our system, and you can really reduce the risk as much as possible that someone has access to your environment with accounts having too many privileges. And here are some of the information in the end
Or, yeah,
showing
to
it.
read up. And by the way, if there are any questions or were any questions, I forgot to mention it, you are free to use the chat and already ask them. Um, yeah, so you will get the slides from our marketing team later on, so no need to write down all the links, but yeah, you will get that information later on. So yeah, Retro already, thanks a lot again for this webinar. I will now, yeah, feel free to, of course, contact us if you have any questions. So here you see the contact details from Retro and also mine. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions regarding SAP installation, migration, and all other related identity access management topics, of course, as well. Not only SAP. And yeah, I will now try to unshare my screen so I can see the questions. Stop sharing my screen, because today I only have one screen. Sorry for that. So you won't be blessed with our PowerPoint presentation anymore. So there is a question already. With GSC being deprecated by SAP, do you have an overview of the new SAP reference architecture, SAP Identity Directory, and provisioning service? Yes and no. So with GSC itself, if it's okay, Retro, I would try to answer that question or
Sure.
jump in later once I did my part. So GSC itself will not be deprecated, at least not officially yet. The journey from SAP, and also that was mentioned by SAP today as well, is more into the cloud, but SAP GSC, or rather SAP Access Control, will stay even in a newer version based on S/4HANA in future. So yeah, still have the choice, like Retro mentioned. It's now you have a tool which can do all in one. Yeah, so even license measuring, so all these things, risk control, you could do it all in one identity. Yeah, or you still have the opportunity, or you say, okay, SAP Access Control is a well-known thing in a company. We don't want to move, or we don't want to move yet. Then you can keep your GSC perfectly in order. And the new reference architecture right now is, if I read between in the lines, what I heard today is in the works. And there's still this old picture which I just showed you now. So I built the own one, but it's quite similar to what SAP is showing today. It's a combination of SAP Access Control on-prem, IAG or IGA. I always forget the right order from which is the cloud product from SAP. But there's other than that, there is no new reference architecture right now from SAP. They will just slightly move features to their cloud system, and their focus is definitely cloud. So if you want to go for SAP reference architecture in future or solely SAP, then you will have a bit of an issue connecting on-prem systems, that's for sure. So they were not in focus there. And the other landscape, the SAP cloud identity landscape, is focusing completely solely on cloud reference, including identity directory, including the IGA part, and not having IDM anymore in scope. Yeah, but only cloud. So
Yeah,
that would be my answer to that. I hope I could answer it. Otherwise, feel free to contact me and Retro after the webinar.
Sure.
There is one question. Yeah, we had last time regarding the Starlink connector. So if you want to, is the Starlink connector included?
Starlink connector is in the end an own platform. So Starlink is our SaaS platform where we provide at the moment 74 cloud connectors, like the shown from SAP, like SuccessFactors, and there's a different license. It's licensed per system. It's not licensed per the identity. And the other thing is that if you have license, for example, for SuccessFactors, it is for all our products. It's not just for Identity Manager. It's also for the PAM solution to rotate the password on SuccessFactors. That's the thing. So it's in the end one license you have to pay for the system, and then you can use it for all the products in the end from our side. It's a different license, yes.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, I see no further questions for now. So thanks a lot all for joining the webinar. Any further questions you have, feel free to reach out to us. And I hope we could give you some informations on what the possibilities are to move your landscape to the next level, and also think about broadening the scope, not only to SAP, but look at the whole company and the whole overarching processes, and also have the united tool set here to cover everything from authentication to governance, authorization, and then at the end also privileged access management. So thanks a lot, Retro, for showing us that, and also showing and proving that one identity can really go deep down into an SAP system, not only the new cloud ones, but also the good old SAP S4 or R3 systems down to the lowest level if needed. That's all possible. So thanks a lot and have a nice day.
You
Always
too.
a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
Retro. See you
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.